Hey, it's Buzz Brainard from SiriusXM's The Highway, and you're listening to Music Row.
Welcome to Music Row, a backstage pass to your favorite country artists. Here's your host, Leek.
What does Buzz Brainard do on a sunny day in Nashville, Tennessee?
Normally, I'm in a dark studio working, so it's kind of nice to be in my home studio here, where it's a little too bright here on this little connection we have because when we were in COVID and I was doing a lot of these interviews, this way, I had to get a drape over here because it got a little too bright sometimes. So, you know better than anybody. You have to have the best possible light.
How crazy is it when you look back and say, "Oh yeah, remember that time during COVID where, one, I got to keep my job, which was crazy. That somehow the world figured that out for the most part. I know a lot of people lost work, but the leaps and bounds that broadcasters were able to make to continue communicating, we would be nowhere today if it wasn't for something like COVID. Like how quickly we were able to adapt. It's wild.
And it's changed the business. So after going forward from there, everything's totally different. Like, that's the way all of our meetings are now. And it opened up the door to like, oh, we don't have to schedule interviews, for people to actually come in to the studio. So everything has changed. And I do, Jeff, I got to tell you, I hear from a lot of people, on a regular basis when they're physically at my Friday live show, which is a lot of fun. People say, hey, you helped get me through COVID, because it was crazy. We weren't live. We would do like a week ahead, but we would book maybe 15, 20 different groups. And then we would just sit there and record it within an hour so that we could put it into the show, because we couldn't. I was sitting here drinking. I didn't want to sit in my chair for 4 hours and drink here. I've done it. But.
Sure. No, that's right. You had to schedule. You were constantly changing schedules, rescheduling. And I think I agree. Like I know a lot of people reach out and say, well, man, you got me through COVID and such. I think the artists, the hosts, they all got each other through COVID as well. And the listeners, like that helped. I'm guessing that helped you in the process.
Oh, absolutely. It was nice to have a job and to be able to keep doing it. It was kind of like, I know COVID was horrible, but for a little while there, it felt like a vacation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a bad thing to say, but I was like, oh, I'm working from home now. I got not bored of working from home, but I missed, interaction and stuff and everything we did. So it wasn't long before I'm like, okay, ready for this to be over. But yeah, it was crazy. But like we were saying, our worlds are completely different now. I mean, you and I wouldn't have had a conversation like this before COVID, probably.
Never.
We just talked on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't even FaceTime you during COVID. Buzz Brainard, I haven't even set this up.
Yeah.
Buzz Brainard, host on SiriusXM's The Highway, also on Y2K Country, also every damn country interview, basically, that comes through the Nashville and or New York studios. You've got a lot going on all the time, and we should mention, too, one of the not only most beloved broadcasters by fans, but also the bands. I was thinking of it earlier on today. You probably have interviewed 1,000 country artists by now.
Yeah, that's a fair number. That's a good. I've never thought about it, but yeah, sounds about right.
Well, you've been on the highway for 20 years now?
Close to 20. Yeah, and then some time in Los Angeles before that. So yeah, I mean, I was actually working for SiriusXM for a little bit while I was in Los Angeles. So
grew up in northern Michigan. I don't even know this. Did you go off to college, or did you just go straight to working in a bar in New York City?
Kind of, because I went off to Central Michigan University, and they had a really good. This is crazy. They had a great broadcasting department there, and some big names went there. It's not a huge university, but it was a party school, and it had a good broadcasting department. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go there And so I got there, I started having a ball, not going to classes very much, you know, doing enough to get by. Did some stuff with the radio stations there, but this is weird. I got involved with the theater department there. I'd done some plays and stuff, you know, when I was in high school and community theater stuff. So I did a couple of plays and got involved in the theater department. And there were a few professors there who were like, you do more of this because you could probably, you know, work in this. You know, it's even more difficult than broadcasting, but you should try it. So I actually kind of switched over and did a lot of acting, crazy stuff, and you know, so I was really involved there. Got really excited and into it with some great professors, and then it was weird. I got a job my last year of school while I was in school at a professional theater. They had statewide auditions in the state of Michigan for their summer stock stuff, and people would go, thousands of them, and you'd get 3 minutes to you know, audition your own stuff, and then you could hope maybe you would be doing a summer show at some, you know, whatever amphitheater. And there was a professional theater there from Lansing, Michigan, that goes year round, and a lot of people came from there. Jeff Daniels came from there, and it was really well known. So I just, you know, I auditioned, and I didn't get a call back from any of the other musical theaters that were like trying to hire somebody for the summer. I got one call back from the guy who ran the Borset Theater, and he goes, "Hey, you want to come and be a part of our company for the next season?" And that meant quitting school, moving to Lansing, being a professional paid actor, and they did like, I don't know, 6 plays a season, and so I would be in each play in a different role, and I was like, wow, that happened rather quickly.
So then, how did you
that,
hit the brakes from that? How did you make the transition from that to ending up in New York City?
that job ended, and I went to New York City because I couldn't go back to school, and I'd worked as a professional actor. So I'm like, okay, so I go there to New York. Had some friends that I had known from college who were there already, and just started at it. And that's where the bartending started right away. So I had to make a living from day one. After I landed in New York City, I paid the guys that I was moved in with the first month's rent. Then we went out. I think we ended up at McSorley's Old Ale House.
And spent the second month's rent?
I woke up with $36 the next day. So I walked up. I took the subway up to Columbus Circle and then walked up Amsterdam Avenue. So that was 59th Street. By the time I got to 84th Street, I had a job.
Oh, wow.
And a bar.
When does radio come back into it?
And I had some success. And I had a lot of success, and I've done TV commercials and some movies and some, a bunch of different things, industrial films, and and a lot of voiceover work. I kind of started moving into that, where I was doing more of the voiceover stuff, and I thought this is a better job because then I don't have to go off and shoot a commercial for 3 days. I can just be the guy who says, get the new Toyota today, and get paid the same.
Wow, I want to buy a Toyota right now.
Yeah. So I switched over to that, but was still kind of, making my way. I was doing, you know how this is, where you got to do a little bit of everything. Okay, I'm making money doing this and this, but there's 6 things now that I'm making money at. And I loved country music. I was an outlier with all my friends and everybody I knew in New York. Well, by this time I'd moved to LA, and I didn't have friends that liked country. I did. There was the line dance craze was really big in Los Angeles. There's a bar called Denim and Diamonds, and they, so I went over. I'd been there a couple of times, and I just had a great time. So I worked as a bartender for an extra job for a long time. So I said, are you hiring somebody to be a DJ? They said, yeah. They talked to me a little bit, and I didn't know how to do it. But
you didn't know how to DJ, but you got in and got hired as a DJ?
Well, I watched what they did. It wasn't like I was like, it was CDs at the time, and I would just, go, play music, and I saw what they did. So I thought I had enough personality where I would, could do it. So I did. They liked me, and they moved me up to the better nights. So next thing you know, I'm working Saturday nights. And I know I'm taking a long time to get to this, but there were the local radio station in Los Angeles was KZLA at the time, and a guy who you might know his name because now he runs the country radio seminar, RJ Curtis, was the program director, and they would come in like one Saturday a month with their big jock, and they would do like a KZLA night at Denim and Diamonds, and so they would be on the air live, and then I would kind of be there beside the DJ, and he'd put me on the air with him because it was kind of like my domain. And I did that, on and off a few months. So I would just kind of, and then finally the DJ's like, you should like do this. And so I asked that guy, RJ Curtis, if we could have a meeting. And I said, I walked in, he said, okay. I walked into the meeting prepared, and I said, I think your morning show could use a sidekick, and here's some ideas I have.
It's amazing when you come with an actual proposal as opposed to, I can't get a job anywhere. No one will hire me. And it's like, well, you're not doing anything that is attractive for anyone to hire you.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to come in with ideas. And then I remember his response, and I said, I think you need me to be a part of the show. And then he, after looked at that, he actually said, yeah, I think we do. It didn't happen. Like it took a little work to get to that. I had to go through corporate and all that stuff. But like, sure enough, I joined the existing morning show. My first job in radio, market to Los Angeles.
Radio experience.
No radio experience.
Just getting on the mic at Denim and Diamonds with the on-air host that they had at the time.
With the on-air. And the first thing I did on the air was we had some tickets for Garth Brooks. And so we were kind of, we're trying to come up with ideas and stuff, what you could do. So we came up with the idea that I would go out to a driving range. I love golf. I went out to a driving range in full-on hockey gear, and I went out there at about 150 yards, and the first person to hit me with a golf ball got tickets for Garth Brooks.
Oh, my God. Even with full hockey gear, that ball is going, 140 miles per hour?
Yeah.
How long did it take?
I had like a shield, too, so yeah.
It's like gladiator stuff.
Yeah, so that's how I got on. And then, from then on, it just kind of it snowballed and it went. So I became a permanent member, not just the guy running around doing crazy shit, but got on the air and was part of the morning show. And finally, that radio station flipped formats, and
as they all do.
Yeah. And at the time, I was my voiceover career had taken off. I was a voice of Disney Channel at the time. I had a show called This Week of Baseball on Fox. I had a crazy video show called Maximum Exposure,
which I've seen.
Oh, that's gotta hurt. Yeah. So I was doing that. So when the morning show went away, I was like, oh, thank God, I am so tired. So I didn't have to get up, and I thought that was a fun thing we did for a little bit. And then somebody from SiriusXM called, and what I heard later from the program director was that when the station went away, one of the bigger bosses said, "Is there anybody that we should try to grab from that station in LA that's no longer there?" A guy who I did not know at the time said, "Yeah, there's one guy there that I think we should try to look at."
That's awesome. And then you made the move.
Yeah, well, I waited. It was still a little bit. I was doing a specialty show from there for them, recording from what they had, the LA studios, which was really crappy at the time. So it just kind of did as an extra thing. It wasn't a lot of money. And then I didn't make the move for radio to Nashville or for a job. I made the move because I wanted to change lifestyle. I lived in LA, had a kid who was 10 at the time. My wife at the time was my ex-wife now. I had family here. We're like, you want to move to Nashville? Because also the voiceover stuff was to the point now where I was working out of the home studio. I'm like, I can do this anywhere. So like I told Disney Channel, I think I'm going to move to Nashville, but it'll work. And they're like, we're not so sure. And I'm like, it'll work. And so I picked up and did that, and it all worked. I was doing Disney Channel from Nashville every day.
And you look at it as the time has gone since you moved to Nashville from LA, most of North America has moved to Nashville following you.
Yeah. Here's the difference. I got in at the time where you could buy a house.
Oh yeah. I've heard about these times.
Yeah. So even after we got divorced, we sold that house, and my ex-wife got a nice place, and I got this place that I live in that I love. And I'm like, boy, I don't know if I could buy this now.
It's
So
crazy.
I got in way ahead of everybody else, and then I continued to work for SiriusXM. I'd go to their studios, and they ended up putting me on the air in a weekly basis. I would do, I was doing mornings, just not live tracking mornings, but I would go to their studios, and so
Made
started doing
yourself
that.
available,
Kind of,
worked,
yeah, made myself available.
showed up.
Showed up. People were like, "Oh, nice guy, seems okay." So then when they started making different kind of moves, like we're gonna go live with the afternoon show, and I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then eventually, the afternoon show, they said we're gonna go live with the morning show, but the afternoon guy wanted to move to the mornings and have a morning show, and I said, "Great," because I don't want to go live in the mornings, So I moved to the afternoon and did it live, and then it got crazy.
Okay, so we gotta address this because I think it's an interesting story again about how doing things great, it spirals into something much larger, and that is the Music Row Happy Hour started out as as I understand, you opening up the door one day at the studio to let some drunken fans, I'm saying that lovingly, come in, meet you. Like you were open to letting people off the street meet you once. You put them on the air. And then did it not spiral into it happened again the next week and the next week? Am I wrong?
Well, it's pretty close because I'll give credit to the guy who was on afternoons before me, since he was the only live show. He's the one who called the afternoons the Music Row Happy Hour, which I always thought was stupid because we're not on Music Row, and I thought people couldn't remember what it was. So I adopted that name, and I was like, okay. And he had a countdown that they would do live on Friday, and so to give him all the credit, he would bring a couple people up, you know, Bob and Sue from Wisconsin, and they would say, "Hey, at number 3, it's Brad Paisley." Blah blah blah. So they would just announce the few. He'd have scattered throughout. He maybe had 4 or 5 different groups up throughout a Friday. So that was fun. When he moved to mornings, they took the countdown and he ended up recording it. So there was no more countdown element for the afternoon show, which I was like, great, because I don't want to do that anyway. But I said, but there are people downstairs. Can I still bring them up to hang out? And that blew the doors off it because now we weren't doing a countdown and I wasn't saying, hey, can you read this for me, okay? Say this is our number 6 song of the week. So all that was gone. Now I just went, tell me about you. And why are you in Nashville? And what are you celebrating? And, how come she said that to you? So that went really quickly to where people started going, oh, this is fun because now we're talking. They're not just reading, a countdown. So the people were the funny part of it. So the people who showed up on a Friday got to be bigger and larger and larger. And so to the point where we figured we could put about 30, 35 people in the studio at one time. We got to the point where we would do that every half hour for 4 hours.
Just
So we would do
rotating people in
shifts
and out.
in our little elevator. We would bring them in and up. We'd take a couple elevators full, and the group ahead would leave. The other ones would come in. They had a half hour, try to talk to as many of them as we could. And so, yeah, that was like, now it was like, then they would show up. They started to show up earlier, and we had to have a sign up. So, because so many people are starting to show up. And inevitably, people would bring like, hey, we're from Idaho and we make this potato whiskey. And, so they'd bring bottles and stuff. So I'm like, all right, let's open it up. And so it was crazy because people would bring stuff, then ask them to. But people want to represent too.
Absolutely.
Where you're from.
You're proud of where you're from.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Yeah, we're Canadians, and this is Crown Royal Maple, and I think you're gonna like it. Blah blah blah.
Nice soft ask.
It always works when you throw something out there like that. Like this about me too. Somebody from Wisconsin once brought some spotted cow, which is only available at the New Glarus Brewery in Spotted Cow, or in the state of Wisconsin. And I said to them, "Wow, I had this on a golf trip once. It's my favorite beer, and you could only get it in Wisconsin." So I still, to this day, have somebody bring spotted cow just about every week. So
It also turned into a spot too, where if you've got, say, 130 people and they're in a queue and they're coming up and down, that's a lot of work for a radio station, because people don't know this about radio stations. It is very lean at the best of times. And
Yeah.
radio stations are not equipped to house a lot of people over extended periods of time and such. But I also understand that these people were coming in and then leaving debris behind, like coolers and stuff like that, because they didn't want to carry around their cooler anymore and they wanted to go party on Lower Broadway.
Yeah, we had a table. So yeah, you're right. It was a lean. So we had a woman named Joyce who wasn't her job to babysit the happy hour, but she ended up doing that on Fridays. And then our interns would do it. And it became a thing where if you were going to work, if you had to work on a Friday, you're like, I think I would like to do this, because it got to be really crazy and fun. So yeah, they would bring stuff, and Joyce then put up a table. So then we would have a table full of things they would leave, and they would leave coolers and they didn't want to haul it around, or they specifically would bring bottles just for us. So now every Friday we're like, by the time we left the show after 4 hours, we're like, holy crap, there's like, 18, 20, 25, there's bottles on here. So I'd be like, I'd grab, something that was special that I wanted. And we're like, help yourself, guys, which is not something that should be going on at a radio station anyway.
At a corporate building?
And
Someone's
also,
an intern and they're leaving with a 40 of whiskey.
yeah, that's not great. And also when you're right, people are coming up and down. Some of them take the stairs, but they're going up and down the elevator. It's like, oh, let's crack open a bottle and we'll both just chug out of it, of whiskey on the air. And so, it's a lot. Some people think that we were not really doing it, but we were really doing it. It sounded like it because we were. So it got crazy, but really popular. So that was only getting bigger. And then a new boss came in and basically was there for the first Friday when he saw that, and he goes, what are you guys doing? I'm like, well, this is a happy hour. We come up and all these people, and he goes, yeah, I see that. There's a shit ton of people here, but like you can't drink in the studio or drink on the air. You can't let other people drink.
That radio station wasn't licensed.
Yeah. Imagine what could happen. Nothing ever did.
Right.
So we were just kind of having fun and not thinking about it. And so the new boss was like, so I thought immediately when he said that, like, I'm like, dang it, it's over. And this guy, I didn't get along with him down the road a lot of times, but this is one of the times where I was really happy. He had a great idea. So instead of saying, you got to shut this down, he goes, we got to take this to a bar.
Thus it begins, and it's become a landmark program. You're probably at risk for the company to turn around and say, Buzz, Friday is so special to all the subscribers. We need to do this now every day of the week.
Oh boy, I can barely handle Fridays. But I tell you what they are doing already is they started to figure out what other formats and what other cities they could do this, not in country, but one of our employees who works on the rock side on Octane, Jose Mangan, just had his first Headbangers Happy Hour in Los Angeles. And so the bosses came to me when we were starting that, and they said, we're thinking about doing this with other formats. And I'm all for it. I'm like, go for it. I said, I just want to tell you something. We are lucky because we have a built-in audience on Fridays on Lower Broadway in Nashville. We've got foot traffic. It's crazy. So and plus our time, we start at 3:00 in the Central Time Zone. We're done at 7. If you're in town for a hockey game, if you're in town for a concert, or if you're going to dinner, you can come by the happy hour and then you can go off. We'll send you off in your merry way on Lower Broadway. So it's built in. So I said you might want to try a one-off, or then maybe try once a month, because I think it's really difficult to get, we get 400 or 500 people every Friday. To do that every Friday, but they're there. You have to either do it like at Disneyland, or we couldn't do it at Disney because you can't drink. Universal City Walk or Vegas. Vegas works well for us because people are in Vegas. So
Yeah, you're right. It's not it's so condensed for the foot traffic in Nashville, and everybody in that zone too is looking to go out. You are not in Lower Broadway for any other reason. You are only there to go out and have a good time. And now we have the happy hour, which is, well, it's been, is it 7 years now or 10 years now?
I think we're closer to 10, coming up on 10, and it's hard because I'm trying to, everything wasn't really. I'm sure it's documented, so we could go back and look, but I haven't been keeping track. So, we measure things like, oh, when did that happen? So, yeah, it's been like 10 years and it's only gotten, now we can take it on the road, and that works too, because if we go, we went to New York City when Jelly Roll was playing Madison Square Garden, and we had a bar across the street. So now we've got, that kind of crowd in New York City coming to a country music show on Friday. So, we've done that a few different places, festivals and stuff. So, yeah, it's just nuts, and it's easy to do, but it's not, because it's easy to put it all together, and there's a lot of moving parts and stuff. But to be there in person, but to make it work, it goes all the way back to like when I first started in that line dancing bar, really getting along with people, and like, just being a normal guy and stuff, and doing and having that kind of relationship. Because now every show is the same thing. You can't just, stand on stage, talk to the crowd, and then play a few songs and sit in the corner and have a few drinks and then go back out, when it's your time to talk again. We owe every person that shows up, we owe them, a minute face to face. Tell me about yourself. If it's on the air, that's great. They love that. Even off the air, like, why are you here? Or, what are you doing this weekend? So, and can we take a picture together? If you give them that, which isn't hard to do, it's fun. It just, they come back forever.
4 hours every Friday of Buzz nonstop talking. Like, because I've seen it in action and it's incredible. I also like to, the fans of the program who come to meet you, and they bring something from the fire department, from the police services. And you had received so much of these patches and badges and stuff, real special pieces from all these different communities and all these different places. I love that you kept them all, one, which is a rarity, but you kept, was there 1,000? Was there 2,000? The company took all of these pieces that were given as a, hey, we listen to you all the time at the fire hall. This is our station, all that stuff. SiriusXM did a wonderful thing, and they took all of those and put it part of the SiriusXM logo in the new building located in downtown Nashville. I thought that was pretty sweet. Listen, I know you have to get going because it's Thanksgiving, but before we let you go, Buzz Brainard, what is Thanksgiving for Buzz Brainard? What does it look like for you?
I don't have like a thing where I have to, like, I mean, I like it. It's great. It's like a day off. It's nice. I'm a big football fan. My Detroit Lions play every Thanksgiving, so that's a big part of my day.
And it's nice that they're winning now.
They're winning now, so I'm excited for this year. But so I got this kid who's 26 now, and then my ex-wife is around. So sometimes it's like we go to dinner where she's fantastic. She's a great mom and stuff. So we might go to dinner, at a restaurant. We've done that quite a number of times. Or like the football game's on fairly early this year. It's the first game, so I'm like, why don't we do like a brunch? Just come over to my place. So we got quiche, and she's making a ham casserole, or I don't know what that is. But so I'll come by and hang out. So the actual day itself is not a lot. Maybe a little football. Maybe go to a movie theater afterward. I never make it out to the movies. So there are a couple movies you could see now. So the day itself isn't that big a deal. It's nice to have a low-key day. And then the day after, Black Friday, is a little nuts because we could take that off. It's a company holiday. But in Nashville, Tennessee, a lot of people are here with their friends and family for Thanksgiving. And they have their Thanksgiving Thursday. And then after they spend that whole day, whatever it is, it could be lovely, could be chaos or whatever. By Friday, everybody needs a drink.
And they come to you.
Yeah. So like there's nothing going on. We're not going to the mall and going shopping. So we're going to go to Lower Broadway and we're going to drink. So that is oddly enough maybe our busiest Friday of the year, the day after Thanksgiving. And we have people who get in line in the morning. They line up a little early, which is disturbing that they would do that for this show, but there'll be people in line at 3 or 4 in the morning for a show that starts at 3 in the afternoon.
Buzz, they love you, and they should. Everyone loves Buzz. Buzz Brainard from SiriusXM's The Highway. So good checking in with you. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday. And I hope you have the greatest Cyber Monday ever.
I'm taking it off. I'm so excited. If we don't use our vacation days, we lose them. So I'm burning a few Mondays from now until the end of the year.
Right on, man. We'll check in with you soon.
All right, Leek. Good to talk to you.
Follow Music Row on X at Music Row Country. On Instagram at Music Row Official. Music Row is produced by Shed of Dreams.